When you're missing milestones around this 6-month level, they really start showing up. Now, because your daughter is going into army crawling, see, this is where people get confused. I'm not worried about developmentally delays cognitively. We have physical delays. Okay, let me explain. The fact that she's trying to go into a locomotion, right, shows me that her brain is functioning really well. And this is what people go, oh, but she's progressing. She's not progressing because army crawling is not a crawl. And you're right, the rolling over is not happening. The unassisted sitting is not happening. The grabbing the feet's not happening. As you can see, when she's rolling over, she's going into all the warnings that I talk about. So let's just cover them there and what needs to be worked on, right? So, and that's the one video I gave you. I know everybody wants to know what specifically with their child, but you can see in the video that I showed you. So first of all, her head separates from the body, right? That's the one big warning that I talk about. A baby shouldn't be doing this. Second of all, you're seeing very little activity through this area, right? So she's I get it that she's moving her arms and she's moving her legs, right? But the rolling over is not there. So what happens is, this is the other warning I talk about, is she's trying to use her feet to do it, right? And then what else do I talk about? Her head's not coming off the floor. So in the rolling over course, that's where you want to start working on. First of all, we need to excite the upper thorax to get that to cross midline, because this isn't happening whatsoever. And where you got to watch it with her, and I want you to get aggressive, she's got a long torso, right? This is where it's not that you're doing it. This is where I don't age adjust these babies. They're growing. They're growing as that they're here, right? And so her proportions are getting pretty long through here. Most likely someone in the family's just got a nice long back, right? But we want to get on these things to help her to roll over way before this torso gets any larger. Because also not only do kids get larger in their growth, but they get larger in their weight. Right? And so they're trying to do things with muscles now instead of through weight transfers. And that's where she's missing that. So in the rolling over course, you really want to concentrate, first of all, on the eyes, synchronizing with that pubic bone, and start bringing that head up. No baby will roll over like this because they'll just fall and get stuck, and they'll avoid it. 2, I get it that she's going into an army crawl. This is where I wouldn't think twice about going back into the tummy time course, because with the army crawling, which is completely incorrect, right? She's got the head way to here. She's not crossing midline, and she's inching here, right? True army crawling, guys, if we were to do it, you know what I mean? Like you see, an army person do, they will cross a midline and do all these things. An army crawl is the hardest thing you could possibly do, right? Because you're not catching air. You're not getting off the floor. But when they do it, the way it should be done is like an amphibian. So when children are actually dragging their bodies, and because it's on their knees, this is where people make the mistake saying it's an army crawl. No, it's not. Because first of all, they can't crawl. If you can't crawl, you're not doing an army crawl. Right? And so they're really just dragging those legs, and that's just locomotion. There's no crawl involved. You look at, again, a true army crawl, but done by a Navy SEAL type thing. You're going to see this complete midline crossing, because they need to be able to get up and go down at any moment. When you're in a drag, what you're doing there, you're going forward, but you can't get out of it, and you can't get into it. And it's a very, very muscularly, difficult way to be in. And so that needs to stop. So when you go to work on her and she's up there and working on that, that's where you need to get involved with maybe the tummy time and more of that weight transfer, that pubic bone strike, and that midline crossing. But definitely the rolling over course. And I want a follow-up video in about 2 weeks to see where you're at. I really wouldn't let this one slip by. Everybody's going to tell you so. Don't worry about it. Why? Eye contact. What does that have to do with locomotion? Because her eye contact too, to watch on that, the left eye is holding a little bit. So if you test her with convergence, I think she'll be able to converge in with the one eye, but it would be hard for her to come in. She might be able to come in, she can't go out with her. So her convergence is weak due to that left eye coming in just a tad, and it's out of alignment. And that needs to be looked at as well. But it's not desperate, but at the same time, it will, where you're going to say, well, she's rolling over now, but I bet you $5 it'll only be to one direction because of the eye. And that's what we need to work on next. But right now, you need to get that upper body to cross midline and then the head coming off the floor, synchronizing the vision with the pubic bone. Those are your priorities within the next 2 weeks. Thanks. Morning, Becky.